All right, let's dive in. We're going to walk through moment by moment what was probably the single most catastrophic day in the entire history of life on Earth. I mean, this was a day that literally ended one world and created a brand new one.
But you know what? Before we get to the beginning, I actually want to start at the very end. Just so you understand the stakes here, because they couldn't be higher. In a single day, just 24 hours, 3 out of every 4 species on the planet were just gone, wiped out. This is the story of that day.
So, to really wrap our heads around the end, we've got to understand the world it destroyed. Picture this. It's 66 million years ago. The planet is this ancient, vibrant kingdom, and it's ruled by giants. A world that had been stable for millions and millions of years. Just try to imagine it, right? The air is warm, it's thick. You've got these massive, unhurried herds of triceratops and other herbivores. They're moving like slow-motion mountains through these endless, lush forests. You look up, and pterodactyls are just gliding over these shimmering oceans. And of course, watching over the whole shebang is the undisputed king, T-Rex. Life was just massive. It was slow, and nobody had any idea that their time was just about up. So the first warning, it wasn't a loud noise, it wasn't an earthquake, it was more of a feeling. Just this subtle, weird shift in the air that put the entire planet on edge. If you were to look up, at first, you'd see nothing. Just a tiny speck of white against the blue sky. You could barely even notice it. Kind of like an unblinking star, but in the middle of the day. The thing is, it's moving, and it's definitely getting bigger. Now, the dinosaurs, they have no clue what this thing is, but they know, deep down, that it's wrong. You'd see entire herds just stop grazing, lifting their heads all at once. Flocks of birds would just explode from the trees, scattering everywhere. It's that ancient primal instinct just screaming at them, something terrible is coming.
And what's so terrifying is how fast this all happens. We're talking minutes. That little dot ignites into a searing fireball. Then, the fireball starts to look like a solid object, a mountain of rock, 6 miles wide, hurtling towards them. And in those last few seconds, it's not something in the sky anymore. It is the sky. It fills everything.
Okay, the laws of physics are about to be unleashed with a kind of violence the planet has never, ever seen. This is it. This is the moment everything changes. So this thing is moving incredibly fast. We're talking about 45,000 miles per hour. That's so fast that it literally superheats the air it's passing through, turns it into plasma. The whole day just becomes this impossibly bright, searing white light. Shadows get long for a second, and then they just burn away. Impact. In that single instant, the asteroid and a huge chunk of the Earth's crust are just vaporized, gone. It punches this column of superheated rock clear out of the atmosphere into space. I mean, the energy released here is more than 1 billion, with a B, atomic bombs. Tsunamis, hundreds of feet tall, start racing outwards. The ground itself starts to crack and heave, rippling like water. And if you were on the ground anywhere near this, the end comes as a wave of fire. A literal wall of superheated wind and glowing debris, taller than mountains, just expands out from the impact. It flash ignites everything it touches. Entire forests, entire ecosystems, just erased in a heartbeat. And then, after all that fire, comes the cold. You go from the single loudest event in Earth's history to this deep, profound, global silence, because the sun has just gone out. What's happened is that trillions of tons of pulverized rock and soot have been blasted into the upper atmosphere, and now it's spreading across the entire globe. This stuff creates this thick, black shroud that's totally impenetrable. It blocks all the sunlight. The entire planet is plunged into this freezing artificial night, and it's going to last for years. And this is how the age of the dinosaurs actually ends. It's not with another huge bang, but with this slow, cold whimper. I mean, this image just captures it so perfectly, doesn't it? A single giant walking through the ruins of its entire world and finally just succumbing to the cold and the dark. You're looking at the last of its kind. But here's the thing. Even an event this massive, this world-ending, it can't sterilize the entire planet. See, the end of one dynasty is almost always the beginning of another. And deep down in the ashes, something new was waiting.
It was waiting for its chance.
Yeah, this really shows you the scale of the change. It's just night and day. The world of giants? Gone. Replaced by a cold, ash-covered planet. But those small, furry mammals that had been living in the shadows of the dinosaurs for millions of years, well, they were actually better suited for this new world. They could burrow to escape the cold. They could survive on scraps. Suddenly, their time had come.
Okay, so let's just do a quick recap of this whole cataclysm. At minute 0, you've got the impact. Just hours later, you've got global firestorms and tsunamis. A few days after that, the sunlight is totally blocked out. Then the impact winter begins, and it lasts for months, maybe even years, before the first little bit of light starts to peek through again. And with that first faint light, you get the first sign of recovery. Deep down in all that gray ash, seeds that have been lying dormant finally get their chance. You see a single green shoot push its way up into this pale new dawn. It's incredible, right? Life, against all the odds, is starting over. And that brings us right back to where we started, to that just staggering number, 75%. 3 out of every 4 species on Earth gone. It's like a giant reset button was hit on the entire planet, completely clearing the board for a new kind of life to evolve. And, well, that's where we come in. It cleared the way for our kind of life. Which leaves us with one last kind of mind-bending thought. The entire history of our planet, right? The very existence of humanity. It all hinged on this one single random cosmic event. It's just a wild reminder of how fragile everything is, and how much of our own story comes down to just pure dumb luck. So let me ask you, what do you think our world would look like today if that 6-mile-wide rock had just missed?